The sky in the French city of Lens was overcast with cold clouds when the news came like a cold wind that blew in through the cracks in the windows without permission. The Poles must leave. In a small room above an abandoned mine shaft, Stanislav, a Polish miner, sat wiping the blackness from his hands as he read the paper that had been slipped under his door. The words weren't many, but they were as heavy as the stones he had been digging out of the earth for 20 years. We thank you for your services. Your contract has expired. Please arrange your departure within a month. Stanislav stared at the paper as if it were a lump of raw coal, solid, black, and unbreakable with words. Behind him, his wife, Yanina, was silently preparing dinner. For years, she had become accustomed to dripping potatoes with her tears without anyone seeing her. Are they going to send us back to the cold? To hunger? To nothing, she said in a low voice. Looking out the window at the flickering mine light, he replied, we didn't leave Poland, we carried it with us. But France forgot who we were. It was the late 1930s. The war hadn't yet begun, but it was hovering on the horizon like a hungry crow. In those years, France had welcomed thousands of Poles to work in the mines after losing its sons in the First World War. They came with heavy hearts, but found work, housing, and a warm crust of bread. Little by little, their roots took root in French soil. But when the depression intensified, and when the state no longer had enough to feed everyone, foreign hands were the first to be cut off from bread. Under the pretext of unemployment and in a fervor of patriotism, the French government began deporting Poles. Thousands of families were evicted from their homes, as if they had been unwanted guests from the start. One night, some men gathered in the basement of an old church. The meeting wasn't legal, nor was it safe, but there was a small fire, and a voice said, we are not the coal that burns and dies. We are the ember that remains beneath the ashes. Stanislav spoke slowly, like someone digging into rock. We fought in their mines. We built their factories. We carried their rock on our backs. They cannot forget us like one closes an old book. But the reality was harsher than their words. Week after week, gray trucks stopped at the edges of neighborhoods, and families were told to get out. There was no screaming, only a heavy silence, like the silence of coal being crushed underground. One rainy morning, Stanislav carried an old leather bag and held Yanina's hand. Their little daughter, Marta, stood by the door, looking into her room as if saying goodbye to a friend who was about to die. On the way back to Poland, Stanislav sat on the train, staring at the trees whizzing by. He said in a barely audible voice, I no longer know. Who expelled us? France? Or us, when we believed we belonged to it? But France didn't completely forget them. When war came and the need for workers returned, and for hands that knew how to dig and build, it remembered them. But some hearts don't easily return to those who expelled them.